Week 1 of the college basketball season is now in the books, so let's dive into some of the key performances you need to know from draft prospects across the country. With this Stock Watch series, I want to name a prospect of the week in each video, and the first award goes to Makayla Timpson, 6'2" center out of Florida State. In 2 games, one of which was against North Florida, which is an A-Sun team. The other was against Illinois, which is a quality power conference opponent. In those 2 games, 19.5 points, 18 rebounds, the most of any player in college basketball, 4.5 stocks per game, which is steals plus blocks, on 63% from 2, and she's made all of her free throws. In the game against Illinois, she had 22 points, 14 rebounds, and 2 blocks on 11 of 18 shooting. For Timpson, in my preseason draft board, she was ranked in the 20s, which may look too low by the end of the season if I'm being honest. The major qualm for Timpson as a prospect has just been she is a 6'2" center. There is not many centers at that size in the W. That is true, but also she has a 6'7" wingspan. This is longer than Aaliyah Edwards and Niara Sabli, who are 2 players that were drafted in the first round in their respective classes. Timpson is undersized, but having that length, she uses her lack of size to her advantage. She moves so well for a big. She can blitz ball handlers, hold her own on switches, defend at the level, due to that impressive lateral mobility, timing, hip flexibility, and footwork. She's also an outstanding vertical athlete as well, paired with an elite motor and positioning. She uses that vertical athleticism to grab a ton of rebounds, but also defend at the rim. She can hedge, she can blitz, but she can also defend at the rim, and she is, in my opinion, the best rim protector in the draft at this moment in time. And she would have won ACC Defensive Player of the Year last season if it wasn't for Hannah Hidalgo at Notre Dame just being Hannah Hidalgo and winning that award. Offensively, Timpson isn't the most versatile player. She's not going to shoot threes. She's not going to post you up and be this hub of an offense like you see with some top big prospects. But for Timpson, she is the best finisher statistically among big prospects in this class. She has a good handle for a big, being able to drive, create, cut, move off the ball as a cutter and roller. She also flashed a couple nice jumpers as this shot creator. One was like a post fade, the other one was like a pull up 2 in the mid range. Can she do this consistently? I'm not sure, not banking on it. The one she hit against Illinois was incredibly fluid, and that is something to keep an eye on with her. If she continues developing, shows more of that ceiling, and that's why she is low for me, and she'll probably be higher on my next big board. But the reason I was lower on her in the preseason is just because the ceiling piece is important. But honestly, you don't have to be a superstar prospect. If Timpson can be this versatile defender that can play in any different ball screen coverage, she can cut, do the team offensive stuff as like a mover, you can have a long career in the W doing those type of things, doing the dirty work, cleaning up stuff. It's not always flashy, but it is super important to winning basketball. Next, let's talk about Te-Hina Paopao, 5'9" combo guard out of South Carolina. If you've watched any video on this channel, I've made it known that Paopao is my favorite prospect in this year's draft, just because this is a player that can play for any single WNBA team with the shooting, with the quick processing, with her defensive improvements over the last couple seasons. She is so steady, super high floor prospect, but I also don't want to underrate what she could do at like her ceiling, what her peak could be as a player. So Dawn Staley has talked a lot about so far this year with Paopao being more aggressive as a driver, creating paint touches rather than being just a shooter. And she's done exactly that so far this season in 2 games. So she's created a ton of paint touches like Dawn's wanted, and she's actually scored more points at the rim and on floaters than jump shots. For instance, last season, 75% of her points were on jump shots. So far this season, over 50% of her points have been scored at the rim and on floaters. And it's not like she's been bad on threes either. 36% from 3. She's made like 1 or 2 pull-up 2s as well. Paopao opening up that driving is so vital to her prospects. She's not the quickest player in the world as far as her first step, her athleticism, but being able to attack closeouts, the windows are there because teams are going to really rush to her whenever she catches the ball on the three-point line. If they're in rotation, they're behind off a full Wiley drive or whatever, she kicks it out to Paopao. Then she also does a super good job at dictating pace with her angles, with her tempo as far as like putting a defender in jail on her hip and then taking them all the way to the rim. The floater game is the best of any prospect in this class. So Paopao, as far as like my board, I'm not going to update my board after 2 games. That's just not my process with evaluating players, just because a 2-game sample size is not enough to make full conclusions. But what I've seen from Paopao as far as her driving is worth noting as a stock watch for her. Let's move to the other South Carolina guard prospect that struggled to start this season, and that is 5'8" point guard Raven Johnson. In 2 games, 3 points, 8 rebounds, 2.5 assists on 33% from 2. She has not made a 3, and she's also 1 of 2 from the foul line. For Raven, she came in at number 12 on my preseason board, and my approach heading into the season with how I evaluate Raven was how her offense develops will dictate where she ranks. If she did not develop from last season and she is what she was last season, she will fall on my board. If she improves offensively, she'll stay at 12 or move up within the tier. So far this season, yes, the passing's been fun, the defense has been fun. We know those things with Raven. We know she can defend, we know she can pass. But also, if you can't create advantages, draw closeouts, draw 2 on the ball and ball screens, send a defense into rotation on your drives, or even drive at all, it makes it so hard to maximize what you can be as a passer and a point guard and an engine of an offense. Raven doesn't have to be an engine of an offense at South Carolina because they have so much talent around her. But whenever you're talking about projection to the WNBA level, can Raven do what she does when she is not playing with the best team in college basketball? That's the question for her. Obviously, it's all been known. And so far this season, it feels like 80% of the time she has the ball, she is looking to pass out of drives rather than drive and score herself. When she drives and tries to score herself, she is successful. It's just a confidence thing, I feel. And it's like, how improvable is that for Raven, paired with how improvable is the three-point shooting? Can she make threes? Can she draw closeouts? Because right now, teams are not guarding her from 3. They are not respecting her jump shot whatsoever. And she also hasn't been taking mid-range 2s like she was towards the end of last season and was being effective on those jump shots. So we'll see. It's still super early, only 2 games, not changing my evaluation on Raven as a prospect, where she's ranked, and all of those things. But if she doesn't improve by the midway point of the season, I kind of have to just drop her on my board from where she's at now to farther down. And the other piece is, if Raven doesn't show a ton of offensive development this season, the good thing is she does have 1 more year of eligibility, and she should probably use that to continue developing her game, because it's so tough to make a WNBA roster if she's not ready to play immediately at the WNBA level. If she's not confident immediately as a driver, as a scorer, it's going to be tough to play minutes or even make a roster. So that's worth considering with Raven as well. With the player that Raven Johnson was defending super tight in their last game, Saniya Rivers, 6'1", wing at an NC State. In 2 games so far this year, 7.5 points, 7 rebounds, 1 assist, 23, 33, 75 shooting splits. In that game against South Carolina, she had 4 points, 7 rebounds, 4 stocks on 1 of 6 from 2, 0 of 1 from 3, 2 of 2 from the foul line. For Saniya, she just looked checked out. Like, she looked so checked out of this game offensively. Wasn't confident, wasn't assertive. And when she was assertive and she was driving confidently, she still struggles to finish in the half court. That was my major question for her in the preseason. And I'd argue it's more important for her to be a good half-court finisher than it is for her to be a good shooter. She needs to be a good shooter to maximize her upside as a prospect. But if she isn't a good finisher in the half-court, it gets tough for her to be really a starting-level caliber player for a WNBA team. If she's just this transition player that can pass in the half court, can defend, but not having that finishing in the half court really limits her floor as well as her ceiling. One quick shout out though to Zam Jones, freshman guard for NC State. She was phenomenal in this one. The lateral passing was fun. The shooting was so sick. Someone I got to watch in person in high school, seeing her come to college, play huge minutes from day one is awesome. They probably would have won this game if they got more from Saniya, but it's still early in the season. We'll see where her game goes throughout her senior campaign. Let's move to a couple more players that I wouldn't consider stock up or stock down, but they did have interesting weeks. I had some notes on them that I want to talk about today. The first of which is Cheyenne Sellers, 6'2" combo guard wing out of Maryland. In 3 games, the numbers aren't mind-boggling. 12 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 40, 33, 89 splits. But playing in Maryland's system this season, she's more of a combo guard, off-ball guard, rather than being a point guard this season, which is huge for her. She looks way more confident and comfortable in that role. She had some fun mid-range jumpers in their game against Duke. She flashes some fun moments as a creator, and with that upside there. Like, she has some upside as a creator. My main question for her is just the shooting, really. Is like, can she be more confident taking threes? It is worth noting that last season, she was dealing with some type of hand injury, so she didn't take as many threes as she might have otherwise. But so far this year, coming back from that injury, only 1 3-point attempt per game through 3 games. The 1 3 she did make against Duke looked good. It was an above-the-break relocation 3. It was super fluid. Then on the next possession, she drew a foul on a drive, and she also had a super fun Euro step finish in transition and semi-transition later in the fourth quarter. The flashes offensively as a creator are fun in the mid-range, on drives, and from 3 when she does take threes. It's more just, can she get more confident taking those shots? Because at the WNBA level, she needs to be a confident off-ball player. She's not going to be a number 1 option for a WNBA team, so having those off-ball skills will be important for her prospects. Let's close this video talking about 6'3" South Carolina center Sania Feagin. She had 6 points, 8 rebounds, 4 stocks, 3 of 7 from 2 against NC State. The numbers weren't crazy, but she was one of the most impressive players on the court for me because of what she did defensively in this game. Blitzing ball handlers, playing at the level of the screen, making plays defensively, but also her screening offensively was valuable for South Carolina. Also, her passing for a big is excellent. She moves well without the ball. She knows her role, where to be offensively for South Carolina. In this game, she played the second most minutes of her college career, with Chloe Kitts being out due to an academic situation. But Feagin, being this player that doesn't put up the most insane numbers, she's went underrated as a prospect. The versatility defensively, along with being someone that can fill gaps offensively, is a valuable combination for a WNBA rotation. So there's 6 prospects that stood out to me from the first week of the college basketball season. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I try not to include players that played against low major teams, bad mid-major opponents, and put up big numbers just because they should do that. And it doesn't tell us much about what they can do against WNBA caliber talent. So like, subscribe, and comment for the algorithm, and I'll see y'all next time.